everyone again, and this Tech and Tell is titled "This Isn't Your Dad's History Class," Part 1, Using Digital Primary Source Documents to Build Academic Content Knowledge. And our guest presenter today is Shelley Sievers, and I'm going to go ahead and transfer presenter rights. And Shelley, welcome.
Thank you, Anne Marie. I wrote into the chat pod there that you can't see me, but I am blushing. Thank you for that very nice introduction. I appreciate that very much. Wow, we have a lot to get to today, and for the next 2 Fridays, we're going to finish out a 3-part series. This isn't your dad's history class, using digital primary source documents so that we can start to or continue to build academic content knowledge. I appreciate all of you being here. We are recording the webinar so that you can go out on the portal. So please spread the word if you enjoy or get something out of today's presentation. If you'll pass that on to your coworkers, directors, etc., it might be beneficial to them as well. So, Dr. Martin Luther King said this in 1963. We are not makers of history, we are made by history. And I want you to take just a couple of minutes just to think about that. If you know this from one of his speeches, actually it wasn't a speech, it was a sermon. What do you think of? You don't have to reply. I just want you to ponder on that for just a moment. And what does that mean to you? We are not makers of history, we are made by history. And we'll go on to this question. What is the importance of teaching our students how to interact, analyze, and understand primary sources? Think about the importance we as classroom instructors, we as program administrators, PD specialists, whatever your role might be, whether we're in the classroom or we're in a program where we are training and leading our teachers, we all must be cognizant of the importance of our teachers interacting and analyzing. Yeah, thank you, Ashley. I see here that you posted the importance, and it is important in helping our HSE preparation for college and for life. And you are exactly right. They're going to need these skills to be successful with their HSE battery, whether they choose the GED, the HiSET, or the TASK, but certainly preparing those students who are going on to college. These are vital, vital skills that they must have to be successful in college. So thank you for that, Ashley. This 3-part Tech and Tell series that I am very honored to be a part of will deliver how to use digital primary source documents to build academic content knowledge. Here are the objectives not only for today, but the entire series, all 3 parts. We're going to get a full understanding of the importance of teaching history and primary sourcing in our HSE prep classes. We're going to discover, or for some of us, rediscover, close reading strategies to analyze primary sources and graphic-based information. We're also going to explore the use of primary sources to build academic content knowledge. We're going to learn how to focus your classroom instruction with primary sources. Learn how to use web-based resources. I've prepared a tour today, and we're going to visit those quite often over the next few weeks, Reading Like a Historian, as well as the National World War II Museum in New Orleans website to teach sourcing, contextualization, close reading, and corroboration. So like I told you, there's a lot to get to, right? Here's the question, why? And in this case, why study history? Why don't you type in the chat pod, or you can unmute yourself and you can share with the group what you think the reason is we study history. Yeah, exactly, Ashley. I like your answer. It helps us to understand the world. Absolutely. There's so much that has gone on before us, and what can we learn from history? Yeah, exactly, Kelly. Thank you. So we don't make the same mistakes. We certainly try not to, right? Anyone else want to share from Tammy? To discover where we came from and where we are going. I love that. Good. Yeah, thank you all for chiming in. Anne Marie did me the favor of typing in there a bit.ly link that you can capture there in the chat pod. I want to talk just a minute or two about URL, tech biz. You all know as well as I do that URLs are often as long as our arms, right? This is especially frustrating when trying to share a link verbally or in a message. So I've just recently discovered, and you may have already known about it, but it's called bit.ly.com, bitly.com. It is free and it is easy. Those are my two favorite words, free and easy. So what you do is you go to bitly.com and you copy and paste your very long URL that you're trying to share. You then get an optimized URL, just like the one that I'm showing you here. So just remember, bit.ly URLs are case sensitive. When I read URLs aloud during this presentation and over the next few weeks, you should assume lowercase unless I say capital or uppercase. So the link that I have here for you is historians.org. It comes with a very lengthy URL and it's not easily searchable. But I wanted to share what Peter Stearns wrote for the American Historical Association. These are some reasons why we study history. History helps us understand people and societies. History contributes to moral understanding. History provides identity. Studying history is essential for good citizenship. What do you think about that? I think that really kind of, along with your answers that you gave here, I think that really kind of ties it up to why we study history, why the history portions of our HSE batteries are so important. What about that next question? How? How can you guide your students to interact, analyze, and understand primary sources? Again, I'm going to go back to you and ask you, how do you or how have you in the past, or how do you guide your teachers to help their students to interact, analyze, and understand primary sources? I'll give you just a couple more seconds. I know you're typing as quickly as you can. I have actually used Read Like a Historian lessons and museum resources from Ashley. Aren't they the best? And that's actually what I'm going to be talking about today is Read Like a Historian. And museum is coming up in future Tech and Tells. Oh, I probably let the cat out of the bag, didn't I, Anne Marie? Yeah, these they offer great lessons for using primary sources.
Actually, Shelley, the museum Tech and Tells are already in the PD portal, so I'm thinking that Read Like Historian, your Tech and Tells plus museum is going to give teachers, over 4 hours of resources for teachers that need that want to see these in the PD portal.
Absolutely, yeah. Thanks for chiming in on that. We've talked quite a bit over the last few weeks, Anne Marie and I have, about the museum, and I just misunderstood that those are already posted in the PD portal. So be sure and let your colleagues know. What a great bundle, as they call it, where you can get so much information, resources for teaching in the classroom. So back to that question, how can you guide your students? Offer different vocabulary and diction. Students must develop the ability to locate, study, and interpret written and visual material in order to extract evidence and meaning. And you know this very well, everybody. Those of you who are very, very familiar with the writing response questions on the HSE batteries. Students must also become adept at contextualization, analysis, problem solving, and critical thinking. Of course, we want our students to become strong communicators, to express their findings clearly and effectively. Studying history and primary sources teaches students to think and problem solve. And we know that history can be an extraordinarily complex arena. It requires a great deal of detective work. I like that word, detective work, careful thought, and problem solving. As students locate information and evidence, they begin to build an understanding and a picture of the people, event, or society being studied. So again, I have a address there, and Anne-Marie has done me the favor. She gets ahead of me. I think that's awesome. I appreciate her posting that into the chat pod so that you can grab that and use for later. This is just a review of how much history, what is the percentage of history test questions included in each battery. 20% of U.S. history questions are included on the GED. 35% of the questions in the history portion on the HiSET. Task breaks out as a total of 35% in history, but they break it out for 25% for U.S. history and 15% of the questions are world history. Then, of course, there's the writing requirements for the HSE. HiSET test takers are required to analyze 2 primary source texts, then write an essay. It is either information writing or argumentative. Sufficient evidence is required. Those students taking the task test, well, they write an essay based on 2 primary source texts. The essay is either argumentative or informative. And of course, for the GED, those students write an extended response based on 2 primary source texts. They must defend their assertions with multiple pieces of evidence from the passages. And I couldn't say it any more clearly than this. No matter which battery your students choose, history and primary sources are an integral part of those batteries. Your students must learn and review and practice these elements. This isn't your dad's history class. I don't know if that makes you chuckle, but I really enjoy this title. Think about what your dad's or maybe your grandfather's history class was all about. Boy, they brought out those Britannica encyclopedias, and it was just dry and boring. They really didn't put their hands on actual primary sources that we have available to us through the internet now. Certainly memorization is not required. For instance, what year did the Civil War end? I can't really describe the look and the body language of students when I tell them you don't have to memorize anything for the social studies test. That's quite a relief. Primary sourcing is required for GED and HiSET argumentative writing. And like we said, they have to have evidence. And where do they get the evidence? From their primary sourcing, right? So I wrote up some options here, just a few that I thought of. There are many, many more. But here's a few options for HSE teachers to provide history and primary sourcing lessons. Of course, in class, or what we call face-to-face instruction. You can provide full-length lessons if you have time, or you can give mini lessons, maybe 20 minutes at the beginning or at the end of a language arts class. I highly recommend a teacher's blog. I don't know if you've created your own teacher's blog, but this is a great idea. It is free and easy if you use something like edublogs.org. You can post your lessons and activities for your students to access from wherever they are. Another free resource, of course, is educators.weebly.com. For this one, for me, I say that it's easy-ish because there is a bit of a learning curve. Another option for you to consider to provide history and primary sourcing lessons is to use Schoology. This is a free resource where you can create flashcards and so many other activities for your students. I urge you to learn how to use Schoology by taking Dr. Rose's Tech Intel course that is available in the PD portal. Who uses Schoology now? Any one of you using? Okay, Ashley. Good. Good. It is a great resource, and the students really seem to like it. I like Tammy's response. No, but I'm going to now. Okay, good. I'm glad I gave a plug for Schoology. All right, very good. Thank you, Tammy. Our rock star friend, Susan Pimentel, she wrote this for the U.S. Department of Education, Office of Vocational and Adult Ed. She said this: to become college and career ready, students need to grapple with works of exceptional craft and thought whose range extends across genres, cultures, and centuries. By engaging with increasingly complex readings, students gain the ability to evaluate intricate arguments and the capacity to surmount the challenges posed by complex text. The bit.ly URL is there for you to research and learn more about Susan's writing. But I think this is very well said. Students need to grapple with these works. And here we are, reading like a historian. Give me a hands up. I like to think of it as a high five, but use your little hand raising tool there. Let me know if you know of reading like a historian, and or if you've used it before. Yeah, of course. Ashley has used it. Good, thank you. Okay. Anne-Marie has used it. Good. Tammy, good. I learned of this for the very first time, several years ago when we did the Master Training Academy. We did that for the GED Language Arts, and there was a math feature as well. And we learned about reading like a historian through the GED Language Arts because it included the social studies piece. So here we are. What is reading like a historian? Of course, it's a feature, a program provided by Stanford History Education Group. It provides free resources and downloads with an account. And of course, to get that account is very free and easy. I'm going to show you that to you. They provide curriculum that is engaging for students in historical inquiries. Curriculum teaches students how to investigate historical questions, and it also provides the how to employ reading strategies such as sourcing, contextualizing, corroboration, and close reading. I never lie about free and easy, and here it is. Creating an account is free and easy, and I'm showing you a couple of screenshots. The first one is the bar that shows you where to create an account and then what the page looks like. So you just simply click on Create an Account. Think of your own username, plug in your email, and so forth. Now for role, that's up to you. There's different choices there on the drop-down menu. Subject, of course, is history. And level, if I remember correctly, you can choose other, or it's okay to choose high school. Of course, you have to prove that you're not a robot, so that just makes sure that you are a real person. You will receive an email with confirmation and your password. They give you the password to your email, and then you can change it to something else if you like. So what does this site offer? I discovered that they have 11 videos that demonstrate to teachers how to use their site with students, how to use the Reading Like a Historian program with students. I also discovered they have 98 U.S. history topics, 46 world history topics, and approximately, of course I didn't count them one for one, but approximately 200 history lessons for free download. When you visit the site for yourself, you'll see links for 7 posters that are available for download. Now, these are historical photographs available to you, again, to download, and you can print them or share them on your blog or share them on Schoology. I want to show you an example of what a poster looks like The one that I chose is Historical Thinking Chart. You'll see at the bottom there, once I clicked on, again, these are screenshots. We're going to go live here in just a few minutes, but you can see that we have the option to download the materials. The chart in this case is either offered in English or in Spanish. And so if you or someone you know is teaching HSE in Spanish, well, here you go. You have another resource. The 1899 photograph, African American and Native American students in ancient history class, is one that I think would spark a very interesting HSE class discussion. And this is what you download. It comes to you as a PDF. It provides historical reading skills like sourcing, corroboration, close reading, contextualization. It also provides questions for students to ask, what students should be able to do, and it also provides them prompts. I want you to just think of the possibilities for your students. Maybe print the chart, then ask them to insert into their history journal. Maybe provide the chart, like I said, on your blog. The possibilities are endless, right? So we're getting ready to go out live to the Reading Like a Historian site. I want to model the site access. Anne-Marie put the address for you there. We're going to take a short tour, and I'm going to show you what is history, a classroom poster. Okay, so let's take a look. Give me a second. This is the opportunity that I get to share my desktop.
And if Shelly is getting ready to share her screen, if you have any questions or any thoughts at this point, let them, put them in the chat pod for her so we can do that. And I just thought this would be a good minute to just see if there's any questions or just let us know. And Shelly, your screen is coming up here, so I'll give you, yep, we are there. And real quick, Shelly, I just want to remind everybody, you all have a little white toolbar that's on the left-hand side of your screen, and there's these little tiny icons with a circle with a plus and then a circle with a minus, and you can expand that screen so that you can see the website a little bit easier. So I just wanted to remind everybody of that. It's a real handy feature when things on the screen are smaller. So, okay, thanks, Shelly.
Thank you, Anne-Marie. Appreciate you giving those helpful hints. A lot going on the WebEx. It's a really neat feature, and it does allow us to share webinars like this with each other and to have the different features. I think it's very beneficial. So thank you for that. So here we are. I'm sharing my screen now. This is the Stanford History Education Group, Reading Like a Historian, and I've brought you exactly to the history lessons, and that's what that bit.ly URL will provide you. It'll come straight here. So let's take a little tour. I highly recommend that you watch this video later. It's a good one, and it's a good introduction to the program itself. You can click, if you see just here where my cursor is, I'm not going to use the fancy cursor because I don't want to get myself in trouble with that thing, but you can see right here in the middle of the screen, there is a click here for a complete list of Reading Like a Historian lessons. But I like to come here. I'm a visual person, so I want to see some pictures, photographs, and I'll point to you exactly where I found that historical thinking chart is just here. Now, before I head out there and show you, I do want to show you that they have it listed off here to the left, the different topics. There are 11 introductory materials. There are 98 U.S. history, if you're wondering where I got those numbers earlier. There are 98 different U.S. history lessons, and there are 46 world history. So if you want to skip the long list and you just want to go for your topic, that's where you have the opportunity. So let's take a look at that historical thinking chart that I showed you. And this is how I found it. You can print the photo and share that. That could be your lesson. That could be your topic for the day. You can also grab that, put it into your blog, and ask for feedback from your students. To actually get to the chart, you would click down here. I won't do it just to save ourselves some time and some downloading craziness, but you download the chart in English or in Spanish just down here, and it does come to you as a PDF. I'm going to go back to the introductory materials because what I'd like to show you is this one. What is history? And it has a classroom poster available to you. The poster is a reminder for students of how historical accounts are built. And it really is a very nice poster. I won't ruin the surprise. I'll let you do that later. It talks about history as an account of the past and so forth. Take a look there. There's a hint for you to print this picture. It's designed to be printed on an 18 by 24 inch sheet of paper. I don't know if you're really into printing things anymore. For the most part, we're posting onto websites and to blogs, but the option is there, of course. To view the poster, you would click here for a quick view. Let's do that. I don't want to download it, but I want to show you a quick view. This is what the poster looks like. This is a quick view, so that's why it's so small. It's a preview PDF, but this is what it would look like if you downloaded it. And see, it has the poster sort of a background feature, if you will, maybe like a watermark almost. I think it's a very attractive piece to use for your students. I'm going back out to the history lessons. Again, these include 7 posters, but then there's also lessons. And if you'll see where I'm pointing, the lunchroom fight is the title of this lesson, and you can view the lesson. That just means it doesn't have a poster attached to it. What it has instead is your lesson plan. Let's take a look at a quick view. Boy, that's very tiny, but that's okay. It's just a little preview here. What you would do, of course, is download the full view PDF. But everything is here for you. Your materials, your plan of instruction. I can hear you yelling yippee from wherever you are across Texas that your teachers or you do not have to write out lesson plans. These are provided and ready to use right off the website.
Shelley, I can't type fast enough. So I just want to remind everybody, and I'm thinking that maybe Kelly may be thinking the same thing, Diana may be thinking the same thing, but think about how these lessons, so that your teachers don't have to reinvent the wheel, can be used to meet the content standards, right? Because the English Language Arts content standards, the benchmark, and I can't point to exactly specifically which one right now, but I'll see if I can find it for you, talks about students learning how to use primary sources. So this is what's so exciting for me, because the teachers don't have to reinvent the wheel. You can start with the content standards and then go out and find a lesson that addresses them. So I just wanted to jump in here and kind of remind everybody of that, because it is you could hit several content standards with these lessons. Thanks, Shelley.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you, Anne-Marie. Anne-Marie, probably more than anybody else, certainly has content standards on the brain, but we all should. Of course, she and others from TCOL are getting ready for the Content Standards 2.0 coming up at the pre-conference of TALE. We're all excited about that and eager to jump right into the updates to our content standards. I can give you a little hint. We are going to address some of those content standards as they relate to historical sourcing, primary sources, and writing, of course. So we'll hit on those. We'll dig really deep into those during next week's Part 2. So I thank you for that, Anne Marie. That gives us a good look into what is in store for us. I want to give you a chance now to open a tab on your computer. If you haven't already, you should go to stanford.io/2PA06 capital LQ. That is the bit.ly. Even though it doesn't say bit.ly, they have a special arrangement with Stanford University, wherein they get a special bit.ly URL. Go out there and find a lesson featuring evaluating sources. It's not necessary for you to create an account just now. You'll have time to do that in the coming days. And you don't need to have an account to view the lessons. But I have a little hide and seek activity for you. Go out there and find evaluating sources, view the lesson, and type in the chat pod the date of the image provided. The date of the image provided in the lesson plan evaluating sources. And Anne Marie, I'll ask you to help me because of course, I'm not able to see the chat pod when I'm sharing my screen. So would you let me know what kind of answers we're getting?
Yep. The first, Tammy. Okay, yes, Ashley, thank you. I was just going to ask, can you repeat the question before I tell you the answers that are coming in?
Yes. Your mission is to find the lesson titled Evaluating Sources.
Okay, so I'll put that in the chat pod too.
Find the lesson that's titled Evaluating Sources, then click on View Lesson, and then share with us the date of the image.
And we have one answer that's come in, but I want to see. Okay, so we have two. So Tammy 1818, and then Ashley changed and said 1818, and then let's see what everyone else, Wendy and Kelly and Diana, think too. 1818. Thank you, Wendy.
So I wanted to give everyone a chance to test drive this website for themselves so that you can start getting familiar with navigating your way around the site. And so that was just a pretty easy little activity to go out there and find evaluating sources. If you'll come back to my shared screen with me, if you're on a different tab, you'll want to come back with me where I'm sharing my web page, and I'm going to click on evaluating sources and have to scroll a little bit. This is an image, an engraving actually, of the Declaration of Independence by John Benz from the year 1818. So everybody gets a prize. All right, good job. Any questions about reading like a historian? Okay, I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and we're back to our presentation. And I'm going to skip this next one because these are the instructions that we just completed. Thank you all for participating. I appreciate you. Moving on then. I'm super excited to introduce the National World War II Museum in New Orleans website. And guess what? These are free educator resources available to you. There's a bit.ly URL just there on the bottom of the screen. I bet Anne Marie will do me the favor to post that up into the chat pod. Give me a high five if you have visited the physical National World War II Museum in New Orleans. My hand is up and staying up because I have visited and it is wonderful. I highly encourage you to visit or revisit New Orleans anytime. Any time of the year is great to go. And when you go, please put onto your trip agenda to visit the museum. It is fabulous. I really enjoy it. Here's how to use this website. You take a minute to create a free account. It does not take more than that. Step 2, you should browse the volumes 1, 2, and 3 of the museum's curriculum guide series, or you can search for lesson plans and multimedia resources that interest you, or, as Anne-Marie reminded us, of a content standard that you need to present to your students. Step 3, download the items you need and add them to your what's called My Classroom for easy access later. Again, registration is free. It is easy. I encourage you to do that between now and next week because we're coming back to this site. There is a link on the page for you to click to explore. Here's what I discovered that you can expect on the site. 3 volumes. War in the Pacific, War in Europe, and the Home Front. I also discovered they have so many resources in multimedia, audio recordings, maps, videos, speeches, teaching aids, so much more. And of course, they have lesson plans that you can use without recreating lesson plans or spending your entire weekend writing lesson plans. These are ready to go for you. Let's take a look at a lesson plan. I chose to show you the Home Front, Communities at War, Reading Primary Sources Imaginatively. I like that. I'm showing you here just 2 screen captures to demonstrate what the lesson plans look like, showing you that they are very detailed, offering step-by-step procedures. Here I am showing you the screen captures of the document guide that was used with that lesson. Okay, so again, these are screen captures, but I wanted to show you what's available for you and for your students. This is the document guide for this one lesson. A volunteer service registration card, a fuel oil ration card, air raid instructions for White Plains, New York, an editorial from the Evening Times in Pennsylvania, and a war ration book. You know, it's one thing to read about these or just talk about them, but to actually see images of the actual documents is very powerful for your students. I'm so excited about this lesson that I wish that I had the capability of teaching this lesson on Monday. I don't care who the students are. I would just really like to teach this lesson. So before we move on, I want to tell you that it's not a coincidence that we're talking about primary sources, because that's where we are really focusing these 3-part series. Again, we go back to those content standards, how very, very important they are, that we keep our focus as instructors, as leaders, as PD specialists. It's really important for us to stay focused on those content standards. And a big part of that is primary sourcing. I'm glad we're doing so well on our time. We are headed out to the live site. I'm going to model and give you a short tour. And I'm going to show you one of the lessons. It's called Life in Auschwitz, Evaluating Primary Sources. So let's see if I can be as quick as last time about sharing. What's going to come up first is previous, but all I have to do is come right over here to my other tab. Here we are, Classroom Sources. I'm scrolling up so that I can show you. Here's how I got to Classroom Sources. Well, in fact, let me go back. There's a tab for students and teachers. There's distance learning, there's school programs, student travel, and so forth. But what we're interested in, of course, is the educator resources. And from there, we go to Classroom Resources. So That's how I got to Classroom Resources Learn With Us. Scroll down. So much to get into. So many, what do they call it, a rabbit hole when you get into a website that has so much to offer. Here I want to focus on the collection, from the collection to the classroom. So let's hit Explore. Here's where you will come back to visit, register yourself for a free account so that you can have access to so many free lessons, multimedia. This is so great. I'm scrolling slowly, but I don't want to take up too much more time. I want to get right into this lesson that I chose to demonstrate for you. Here's Volume 1, War in the Pacific, Volume 2, War in Europe, and of course here we are, Volume 3, the Home Front. Going to Volume 2, War in Europe. Explore more, and here's 6 results. That's only 6. There's so many more. But for time's sake, I chose one that was pretty close to the front. So here we are, Life in Auschwitz, Evaluating Primary Sources. Take a look at this question. Is one primary source as good as the next one when researching a historical event? This lesson teaches students to critically evaluate sources and think about how a source's origin and the intentions of the author can affect its usefulness. Here's where you download the lesson. And remember what I said a little bit earlier? If you're not ready to download, you can add it to your classroom. And it's just a holding area for you on your account here. Are you ready for another hide and seek? Why don't you open a new tab, go to bit.ly/2Z, capital S as in Sam, 3, capital J, capital G, H. I'm going to do it again. bit.ly/2Z, capital S as in Sam, 3, capital J, capital G, H. Once you're there, I want you to find Pearl Harbor.
Shelley, I'm going to jump in here real quick. Could you go
Okay.
back to the PowerPoint slide where you give the directions so that they can see it?
Sure,
Yeah, because I'm thinking that, that way,
Uh-huh.
okay, that way we can see it and then they can go back out.
There we go. I did that so quickly, I'm proud of myself.
That is awesome. You are rocking the house with this. This is awesome. Okay, so that way they can,
This
so why
is
don't
new
you,
to me. So.
no, I know, this is wonderful. Go ahead and just walk through this again.
This is good.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So there's your bit.ly URL, and your hide and seek mission is to find the lesson in Volume 1 that is titled Pearl Harbor, Analyzing FDR's Pearl Harbor Address. It's necessary to create an account just now, and the question that you should answer is there a video or an audio recording provided with this lesson plan? Type your answer in the chat pod. Is there a video or an audio recording provided with Pearl Harbor, Analyzing FDR's Pearl Harbor Address in Volume 1? I'm going back to share my screen. I'm back in the live site with you. So you can either toggle between your two tabs, or you can stay with yours, or you can come over to mine. And if you took the extra step to download, then you will know by now that it does provide both an audio recording and a video.
Ashley said both. I'm sure you see that, but she said
I did
both.
see that. That's great.
Yep.
She's quick. That's right, Tammy. There are both. That's good. All right. By my clock, we have just a few precious minutes to start wrapping things up. So what I'll do is I'll stop sharing my screen, head back to our slides, and we'll do a real nice wrap up here. I do hope you have your calendar marked, and I hope you'll register for next week, January the 18th. We will do part 2. During this presentation and training, we will dig deeper into primary sources. We're going to discover, or what I like to say rediscover for many of you, close reading strategies to analyze primary sources and graphic-based information. If you can, take the opportunity to visit Reading Like Historians and National World War II Museum in New Orleans sites between now and then. Go ahead and create your free accounts and have those ready to go. And still, if you have time, you can browse more available educators' resources. I didn't put it on the slide, but part of your homework is to invite your colleagues to join us next week. They will not be lost if they did not get to participate in part 1. We will certainly be accommodating to those who are joining us for the first time. I will introduce quickly some of the things that we covered today. I have the 2 websites up for you again. A lot of our students like to take pictures of screens. I don't know if you're used to that, but it certainly tickles me when I see them do that. So that's why I put the little camera guy. But Anne-Marie has done me the favor of putting in the URLs for you in the chat pod. What questions do you have for me? Oh, thank you, Tammy. I appreciate you making that offer to share with your instructors. I appreciate that very much. Any questions, concerns, likes, dislikes, anything you want to share with us? And certainly as we're wrapping up, you can chat privately with Anne-Marie if you have a concern or a question, or you can do the same with me. You can choose me if you don't want to share with the entire group. I'm not seeing any questions come in. Oh, thank you, Kelly. Nice compliment. I appreciate that. That comment that you made, that it is an interesting lesson. I'm glad that you enjoyed it. I want to thank you all for joining today. I've enjoyed the time spent with you. I hope it has been a valuable lesson. I look forward to seeing, I have air quotes going up, seeing you next week for the Tech and Tell January 18th. If you have any questions or you want to contact me for any reason, I've given my personal email address there, s.severs@icloud.com, and you can always get a message to me through Anne-Marie. Thank you all very much. Back to you, Anne-Marie.
Thank you so much, Shelley, first of all, for a wonderful hour. And I just want to say that this is just the beginning of another 2 wonderful lessons where she really starts to talk about, okay, now we've found all these amazing primary resources. What can we do with them? And I love when she says we're going to dig deeper into the primary source lesson. So just a couple housekeeping reminders. Registration for February 18th. Oh, I'm already in February. January 18th, Tech and Tell, which is part 2, will be available soon, hopefully by Monday. And then also part 3 of This Isn't Your Dad's History class, part 3, is going to be on February 1st. So mark your calendars. There is going to be a week between part 2 and part 3, okay? So we'll have part 2 next week, and then we won't come back until February 1st. So that will give you some time to play and share with your instructors and spread the word. And so I want to thank you all for being here. And Raymond, or Ray Flores, I'm glad you were able to get on, although it was a little bit late. So you'll know how to get on for part 2. And happy Friday, everybody. And thank you again, Shelley. It is so awesome to have you back again. I think this is Shelley's probably 5th Tech and Tell. So by the time we're done, I think we'll probably be on around number 7. So Shelley, take us out. And Take care, everybody, and we'll see you next week on Tech and Tell.
Thanks, Anne Marie. Enjoy your weekend, everybody. See you next week.
Thank you again. And I'll stay on for just a few minutes as we see if there's any questions.